So what do you want?
What do I want? I want to use my degree for good, and in general.
I kind of meant like a muffin or a latte.
I want a job with a generous work-from-grocery-store policy.
You are here a lot.
Debbie, please, I'm working.
I want a job that will change the world.
Ma'am, this is a drive-thru.
And some nuggets.
With LinkedIn's new AI-powered job search, you can find roles that match your unique skills, so you can dare to discover more. Visit linkedin.com/jobs to learn more.
Drink it in, man.
Cornbread! Cornbread! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Cornbread! Cornbread! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Drink it in, man. Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid. Detroit Koolaid drinkers. What's going on, everybody? You guys know what it is. Your host, Eric Okrie, right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast, serving up that delicious Honolulu blue flavored Kool-Aid. Say it 3 times fast.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Then do that, and then have a double side of this.
Cornbread! Cornbread!
Everybody, I'm solo. Chops and the D is taking his normal every other week off. He's kind of a part-timer. You know what it is. We've been scaling the show back a little bit. It is the off season, trying to get a little break. Life is crazy, but it's fun to jump on here, talk ball. I would like to say lots going on with our Rants, but like, not really. Not yet. But of course, you know I got plenty to talk about, plenty to get into. And we don't have time to mess around, so let's do this. Last week, I mean, me and Chops kind of, we made some jokes. We kind of got after the new offensive coordinator, Drew.
Who is this Rudy Poo?
Well, his name is Drew Petzing. I believe that's it. Petzing. And I can't say I've done a deep dive on Drew Petzing, but I won't treat him like this anymore.
Did this big jabroni say?
Because last week we were just having some fun with it. Of course, it's a little bit off the radar. All Lions fans had 1 or 2 names. If it wasn't one of those, they were going to go crazy. And I haven't done the research, but what I did do is I listened to a short podcast with Petzing, Drew Who, and Peter Schrager, and I at least got a little vibe for it. The guy sounds like a regular human being. He sounds smart. He told his story about how he just basically did anything to get in the foot in the door in the NFL. He, did all the get donuts, drive people to the airport, started here, did this, did that. It's kind of been all over the map with coming up the ranks. Loves ball. Like I said, he didn't have any idiosyncrasies that drove me nuts. He just kind of was a regular person talking. Yeah, so like I said, seemed to have some intelligence to him, knows ball, loves it, hard worker, got a little bit of grittiness to him, which we like here in Detroit. So I liked a lot of what I heard. The counterpoint is still like, well, you can sound good and you can sound smart and you can love ball, but if you can't produce when you're the OC or the position coach, it doesn't matter. And Drew Petzing up to this point has been a little bit underwhelming when it comes to producing, but he also hasn't been in the best situation yet. So I feel like this guy, Dan Campbell, seems to obviously love him if he's willing to bring him in and just sort of give him the role he gave him and pick him over other people. So you got that going for him. If Dan freaking Campbell is in your corner, There's also been rumor innuendo that Jared Goff had a discussion with Drew Who and, gave it his blessing, as if we need that. I'm sure at Chops in the D runs everything by his boy Jared Goff to get approval before he does anything in life. But, the quarterback, at least, being in the mix and also feeling good with this hire is a good thing. The other thing I liked about Drew Who was he seemed to, he's not only young enough, but with the tree he comes from and the way he loves football, like, I feel like once he has all the weapons, that he's the type of guy, too, that will push the envelope, He'll drop 50 on you, it sounded like, if he can. He will draw up some things that are unexpected. He'll beat you however he has to beat you from a schematic standpoint, so I like that as well. And like I said, younger, more aggressive, seem to be a players type guy, get along with his guys well. Like, will he be able to, I don't even know if you need to be handle the room or be a tough guy anymore. You really just need to get along with players, put them in great positions to succeed, and then if you produce, they're going to love you. You win games, they're going to love you. If you do the opposite, not so much. You're not going to be long for the job. So some good things with him. I just wanted to kind of circle back. We'll obviously have more takes, more thoughts as we start to have all this thing develop, see what they add for him, see what he likes, see what he does in OTAs, all that type of stuff. But I told you last week, it's TBD if you ask me, but we'll see. I hope he does well. And that's still the case until you prove it on the field. But at least a little bit that I looked into this guy, I liked. I'm hesitant to say I liked what I heard or saw because it's very surface level. But I think it was enough to get me a little bit more encouraged. And then also, he, like I said, he didn't sound like just a chalkboard nerd. He didn't sound like somebody that got handed this opportunity. He's definitely going to fit in, I think, with the other coaches and this culture, which I think is a really good thing. Now, here's a really good thing as well. Another thing I want to hit on here at the kind of the top of the show. The Lions were able to obtain Mike Kafka as a senior offensive something. I don't know what, but here's what I do know. This guy has been in coaching interviews for 2-3 cycles, 2-3 years now, it feels like. In case you didn't know, he was the interim head coach of the New York Giants, so he was second in command and got put as the head man once Dayball got booted. He's an offensive guy. He seemed to do some nice things at different stops, and everyone thought either, head coach, definitely an OC, something, and instead he takes kind of this head senior role with the Lions, not even the OC, not even really on the offense, but just being a piece of the puzzle. That's tremendous on a lot of levels. Now, I'm not telling you I loved Mike Kafka, the football player, but he seems like one of those guys that would transition well to not only coaching, but a leadership type position. And he's been climbing up the ranks. So for the Lions to get this type of guy, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So now you got Drew Who, as well as Kafka. I like that combo a lot better than even just having a Mike McDaniel, a kooky guy, a former head coach, a uppity weirdo that is going to want to do everything his way and not really fit into the Detroit culture. Give me Drew and Kafka and let's roll. So we'll see. But I thought that was a really nice hire, really nice signing. Now, with these two signings, one thing I wanted to get into was Amon-Ra ARSB. Amon-Ra St. Brown made a little bit of waves with his podcast, some comments. And I'm not going to be like those other shows where they're going to read you his quote verbatim because they don't want to get it wrong or because they're so uppity and weird. In the Koolaid Cast, we just do it off the cuff. We're just here talking ball, having fun, talking shop. So he said something to the effect of, everybody was up in arms about Drew Petzing's hire and how, Lions fans were going crazy, thinking this was terrible. And he basically said, Lions fans, you don't know much about nothing, and you don't know ball, was the equivalent of kind of what he intimated. And you'd think maybe I'd go on a big rant and I would say, I can't believe this. Like, St. Brown is correct. Lions fans are a great fan base. There are some out there that know ball and put time in and follow the game. And then there's other people that say, wait, the Lions are losing?
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
So well. Oh, wait, the Lions are winning? Where's my tickets? Sign me up for the parade. And they just go up and down depending on what they did last week. So my thing when I heard this was, yes, Lions fans, even me included, we don't necessarily know football. So did we know who Drew was when we first heard him?
Who is this Rudy Poo?
We got another drop to give you that answer.
Nope.
No, we didn't, but you read up, you see what he does, you judge him off what he does. I mean, that's fair. But yes, of course, fans aren't going to know the ins and outs of the NFL or who's signing. It doesn't mean they can't have an opinion. But St. Brown can also call you guys out for being kooks when, you don't get the guy you like and you start throwing your hands up. Oh, I see the Lions with another bad hire. They don't know what they're doing. His take, other than his quote, was, you guys don't believe in Dan freaking Campbell? You don't believe in Dan? You don't think Brad Holmes does his homework? You don't think this man interviewed multiple people, knew what he was looking for, liked what they heard and saw from Drew who? Of course they did. Of course they do. Oh, but Okrie, they've done it before. They got it wrong. You're going to miss. You're going to miss in the draft. You're going to not get the free agents you want. You're going to have a couple head coaches that wash out, like Johnny Moe, who had a cool nickname and I thought might do some good things with the wide receivers until he got to the podium and was like, that's pretty cool, man. Man, that's pretty cool. that was his whole take at every press conference. This guy had no brain, nothing when it came to offensive football. I think Dan Campbell thought he could just get him, tell him what to run, and everything would work. And then he realized my man was sitting back there with the play sheet going, hey, look at that play, man. That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. It just was a bad fit. The guy he's not fit to be an offensive coordinator. Is he a good assistant? Is he a good football guy? Does he know some X's and O's? Is he willing to put in the time in the tape room till 3 a.m. and then show up at 6 and watch more tape and more? Yes, that's probably who Johnny Moe is. But as far as his intellect, as well as his aggressiveness, and his ability to call an offense, that was a miss. Okay, we get it. But St. Brown was saying, hey, listen, you guys don't know what we know. If you're going crazy, that means you don't believe in our head coach, you don't believe in our GM, you don't believe in what we do or who we bring in here. He didn't get into all the misses and some of the mishaps they've had. And the Lions, too, it's not just St. Brown, but the whole team, the players, even the coaching staff. There does need to be a little more of there's a difference between Dan Campbell's blind optimism and a sense of cockiness or a sense of, hey, don't you worry, we know what we're doing, we got this. Oh, how are you to judge, Jared Goff coming in with his, the fans are doubting us, great, that's a fine line. I feel like the Lions are getting a little bit over their skis when it's like, okay, you guys had a couple good seasons, much better than previous, we get it, but now we expect the same or better for the most part moving forward. Am I willing to give the team a pass saying hey, you had a tough schedule, injuries again, some things didn't go your way, you lost a couple close games and you missed the freaking playoffs? Yes, I'm willing to do that. Most other fans are like, it's unacceptable, you should never miss the playoffs, how could you lose less than or win less than 10-12 football? It's the National Football League. You're going to have some up and downs. The Lions won 15 games, 12 some before. They made it to the NFC Championship. basically 2, if not 3 great seasons in a row, and had a dip here in 2025. It happens. So I'm not mad at St. Brown. I guess the only thing you would say is that he's a very he's not really a PR, political type guy. Kind of just says what he feels. He's a great guy, don't get me wrong, very smart, very cerebral, but he's also not afraid to say what he thinks. And here he was just like, calm the what down. Like, I like this hire. Jared Goff likes this hire. Our head coach and our GM picked this guy. So what are you guys all up in arms about? He hasn't coached it down. He hasn't called a play. He hasn't done anything. Like, let it play out and give us a little bit of credit for what we have done instead of just killing us for what just happened. It was a bad year. He'll admit that, and keep it moving. So I'm good with it. I could see how some fans would be output. What do you mean? I don't know ball. I don't know nothing about nothing. I know a lot of things about a lot of. You're gonna have that group of people as well. But I thought he was just saying, calm it down. Let's take a breath and let it play out. And I'm good with that. I think that if this team can sort of take a step back, get that grit, griminess, underdog mentality back, have a lesser schedule, put the work in, have these coaches work out better than they did last year, and have another nice, good draft class. But I think this year is really about free agency, to be honest. And that's not like me to say that, because you don't build your team through free agency. The Lions have never been one to really, in the recent, kind of go big in free agency. Back in the day, they would always get like that old over-the-hill free agent that like sounded good on paper and would get good media reps, but then it was like, yeah, that dude was like good 2-3 years ago, and now you just paid him top of the market, and now he's not only not good, but because the team is losing, he's just waiting to head down I-75 and get out of town, right? That's what they used to do. I think this is a year where you have to take the team you have, understand that you're going to be able to put together a nice draft class, but you have to restructure deals and you have to go big. You have to go bigger than you've gone in free agency. Let's put it that way. You're still not going to be able to keep up with the big spenders, because there's always a couple teams that somehow have $100 million and are totally rebuilding, and of course they're going to go out and pay those top guys. And the Lions never really target the top guys anyway. They look at the list and they're like, okay, let's cut out those top 20. Let's find those guys in the middle. Let's drill those down to who fits us, who's gritty, who has a chip on their shoulder, who loves ball, what positions do we need, what depth are we looking for, and then they target people on those type of parameters. So I think they're going to have to really, if we walk away, what's that, like in early March is when free agency gets going, I think. So if you come out of the first handful of days with a really nice couple signings that are impact players, even if you got to pay a good chunk, your vets are willing to give back money to help the team, that's going to be huge. You go in the draft, do what Brad Holmes does, select great people, move around the draft board, hopefully instead of giving up future assets, hopefully get some future assets for us so we can reload on the old draft pick cabinet there, our war chest. And then it's going to come down to getting some of these guys right, too. I mean, hear people kind of boo-hooing again about, Kirby might never be the same, and Brian Branch might not be back until Christmas, and he might never be the same. He had an Achilles. Like, these are the same people that understand that, Cam Akers a few years ago came back from an Achilles in like 6 months. A lot of people come back from Achilles now. Unfortunately, Achilles injuries happen more often than I would ever hope for, but all those players come back, and all of them are either fine or similar. This isn't 1970 where you have an Achilles and one, you can't come back, or two, if you come back, you're half as fast. You can't move. That's not what happens. So there's a lot of doom and gloom out there about all this stuff that's going to be worst case scenario, when really on this show, I mean, we like to be a little more optimistic, a little bit more pro team, a little bit more hyping up the squad rather than talking about all the doom and gloom that's going to happen. I mean, drink it in, everybody.
Drink it in, man.
So I think if you get some nice injury luck, that could help. I was looking at the clock. I'm like, man, I'm about to take a commercial break, but I'm going to do like me and Choppy have been doing. I don't need a commercial break. I could talk for days here on the pod, and I got plenty more to say, and I'm still going to get up out of here and get you that solo flagship Detroit Koolaid Cast here in about, we're at about the 20-minute mark or so now. Like, I'll see if I can go 30, 40-ish. You know, I might even go over that a little bit, but get you some more content here. So, you know, I think this offseason is very important. I think free agency is very important. I think this could be a really fun draft based on the current team we have, picking at 17, things like that. I've got two Okrie. These aren't classic Okrie rants, but these are half rants. I'm not hot about it, but I got a few things to say about a couple people. And the first one is Statty, Patty, Maddie, Statty. And, you know, the thing is, I put a tweet out once he got bounced from the playoffs by the Seattle Seahawks, just saying, another year full of stats, all the hoopla, look at me, all his little sheepish humbleness he tries to have, even though you can tell he's a you-know-what behind the scenes at times. And I said, you know, I don't forget what he said, where he didn't give the Detroit fan base that supported this guy, that paid him millions and millions of dollars. He gave them no love when we bounced him from the playoffs. All he had was a boo-boo face, and his wife was talking about his kids getting yelled at, and he was saying, I'm happy for the players. And they asked him again. He said, like I said, I'm happy for the players. You're not happy for the city. You're not happy for this fan base that hung with you when you won 0 playoff games, when you put up all your numbers and never did anything to give us over the hump. When Matt Stafford was here, I was a fan. He's fun to watch. He could throw the ball like nobody can throw it. He's still that guy. He puts up crazy numbers. Love it how he whips the ball around the field. Smart as could be. Tries really hard. Good leader and teammate. But the minute he did that to the city of Detroit Lions fans, especially after getting beat in our house, formerly where he used to play, and you can't take yourself away for 2 seconds to be like, man, that was a really tough loss. I really wanted that game. But you know what? Man, I'm happy for this city. They've been waiting a long time for a playoff win like this. They got it. I wish my team and me could have got it done, but we didn't. And not only for this fan base, but these players and these coaches, I'm happy for them. Detroit's always going to be in my heart, and I appreciate this city and these people and this organization forever. That's all you had to do. Instead, you gave some boo-hoo with your stupid hair everywhere, with your Carhartt jacket, and all you could think about was yourself. Oh, I lost, so I'm upset. I don't want to give the fans any credit because they chanted for Jared Goff rather than Statty, Matty, Patty, Statty. It's like, I lost all respect for the man at that point. And like, as much as I'll draft him in fantasy football, like, it's going to be very hard for me to ever root for that guy again unless he shows that type of humble, appreciative mentality. And it's win or loss. That's my thing with Matt Stafford. If he wins, oh man, he's the greatest guy. The media loves him. What a teammate. Great leader. The minute the dude loses or things don't go his way or he comes up a little bit short, he just turns into another person. And that's the true, how you judge somebody. How are you when things are at their worst? How do you treat people when you're having a bad day? That's what matters. Anybody can be nice or can be fun when everything's going perfect for you. So that was a big, not only miss by Matt Stafford, but as much as I like, oh man, him versus another good team on a Monday Night Football, it's like, oh, it's going to be fun to watch. Or, man, I hope he, puts up points for my fantasy team, or man, he's got a lot of fun weapons on that LA team. But they're very hard to root for just because of how he acts at times, and that head coach and some of their players. It's like, it just reminds us of the way he used to be when we're losing 10 games. He would do stuff like this.
Yeah, that's right. I think starts with me.
It all starts with me. That's right. It's always about him. It's about, look at my numbers. I tried real hard. My teammates weren't good enough. Oh, the refs. Oh, I came up short in my former team's house, so I can't give them any love because I'm all butthurt about losing. So, I was happy Matt Stafford lost. I rooted for him that first year, even when we traded him. One, because we got a bucket load of picks, but it was a fun story. It was like, hey, you're going out there. Hey, we hope you do well. Not anymore. Even if he wins an MVP, I'm kind of like, all right, cool. He did put up the best numbers, and he did deserve it from a stat perspective. But yeah, I was so glad he didn't make it to another Super Bowl and that he's not going there. So I've come around to Chops' side on this. Chops was bitter from day one when we had him, when we traded him, and since. He doesn't care for Matt Stafford. He ain't going to root for him. He doesn't like him. He didn't want to see any success. Once I saw his success, but then saw what he did in Detroit when we bounced him in the playoffs in the greatest moment in Detroit Lions history in the last 50 years when I was there in person, and to have you stand at the podium and give us no love. Yes, you lost all respect and credibility other than fantasy football, where I'll still pick you and you'll put up crazy numbers. But that's all you are, man, is numbers, hype, and a bunch of almost, maybe, coulda, shoulda. And then you, most of the time, except the one time you found a 4-leaf clover and got all the way to the thing because you had every player and your GM went and spent, his future to get you that one ring, you always come up with a bunch of nothing. So I know a bunch of you Matty Stafford fans out there that listen to this aren't going to like that take, but there you go. I'm glad he's out. I'm glad he didn't make it. I lost all respect for the man, but he's fun to watch throw the football. He puts up a lot of touchdowns, a lot of stats, just no more rings, and hopefully he'll ride off in the sunset soon once he breaks more records and has the MVP and his wife tells him it's over, then he'll quit. So there you go. There's my Stafford rant. You want to have a back-to-back rant? How about this one? Maybe one you're not going to like as well. Hey, Taylor Decker. I've got a problem with Taylor Decker from this perspective. Dude has been a great Lion, plays great football, had a very poor choice of colleges.
Ohio State is vanquished.
Hey, listen, Ohio State sucks.
But he's come here. He's been a great teammate, a great player, a lifelong Lion. Here's my problem. The Lions have done very well by Taylor Decker. They paid him multiple times recently to not only stay here, but because of what he does on and off the field. And the more I thought about his recent, post-game and how he phrased it, and I've listened to all these media folks, everyone basically assumes he's going to retire. And they say, oh, man, the guy is just, he's, to even get on the field, he's got to be in the training room and the hot tub and the this and the that. And did you hear him after the game talking about how he can't spend enough time with his kids and he's got to do this and do that? I was like, the more I heard it, I was kind of like, well, nobody's forcing you to do this. You not only took the paycheck, but you're counted on to be our left tackle. So if you physically can't do it and you want to ride off into the sunset like Frank Ragnow did, cool, totally fine. The part I had a problem with is the way he's went about it. It's sort of rubbing me the wrong way of putting his kids out there and making his family the Of course, you could do that so much better by just saying, man, you know, I've had a great career, physically kind of hurting. I want to be able to play with my kids. I want to be able to throw the football. I want to be able to enjoy, and I think now's the time. Great. That's a great way to exit if you want. But in a way, it's almost like putting it on us, the fans, to feel bad for him. A guy that a couple years ago, didn't he get paid like 3 years, 40-some million? So 10 to 15 million per on an extension, where at that point I was sort of ready to be like, man, we could flip Penny to the left and draft a guy and retool, and instead we're like, nope, Taylor Decker's got good years left. Look at all the leadership. Look at how tough he is. We'll pay him again and he'll do right by us. And since then he's pretty good when he's out there, if not really good, but he hasn't been out there a ton. And it's sort of like, if you're hurt, you're hurt. But if you're not hurt, don't blame us or give us your story about your kids, because you have full reign to go off and play with your kids anytime you want. Just give the organization back the $30 million they gave you, or whatever you have left on your deal, and everybody will move forward. So I just wish he would have went about it a little bit better. I wish that it's feeling like kind of not an ugly exit for him, the team, and fans, but it's like, you hate to see Ragnow and Decker go out back-to-back years, but it feels like Frank was just quiet about it, was like, he pieced out, maybe not the best timing, but also didn't give us huge stops. I remember Frank Ragnow saying, like, man, it's tough get going with the toe and the things he had, but he would just strap up and play. And then when he knew he couldn't play or didn't want to play anymore, he just left the team and never said a word about it. And I guess I would have liked that better from Taylor Decker, just like, and here's my other thing. You're probably not going to like this, and Taylor Decker is probably not going to hear this, but if this makes it back to him, like, if he's healthy and he wants to give it at least one more season, whatever's left on his deal, it's probably a year or two, whatever, like, and he came back with a burr under saddle and was like, man, I'm going to play the best left tackle I played. I'm going to kick ass for this team. I feel healthy. I'm going to get my body right. I'm going to play hard. And then, man, I can't wait until I hang it up, because my family, my kids are super important to me, and I look forward to that time. But now I owe it to this organization, this city, this team to play great football, and I want to play great football for them and finish out my deal. I would love that if he was all gung-ho, but if he's going to be like on the fence and I don't know, my body's falling apart and I want to play with my kids more than I want to practice, and I'm missing out on opportunities with my then if any of that's in his mind, then it's best to just hang it up. And I appreciate him again for everything he's done, but there's a way of going about it, as well as just one way or the other, bro. Either be all in on football and be with your teammates and give it your best, and you still, last time I checked, every season you get 6-7 months off to play with your kids, go to Cabo, do the hell you want. But during that football season, we not only need you out there, but it's hard to then hear that the team or that we're making you miss time with your kids and family. You chose that. You signed the contract. So anyway, that's where I'm at with that as well. So you got back-to-back Okrie rants, both one negative on our former quarterback, one 50-50 on our left tackle or former left tackle, whatever you want to call it, or whatever it's going to be. There you go. That's what it is. Now let me get to this. I'm sitting here, I'm recording here the day before you're hearing this, and I literally was middle of my crazy day, all this stuff going on. I'm like, I get word, Senior Bowl practice starts at, 1-2 o'clock. I'm like, huh? What? Like, I know it's that time of year, but I'm so out of the loop right now on draft prep, draft prospects, everything draft, that I was like, it didn't hit me whatsoever that the Senior Bowl practices and game is this weekend. So in a way I was like disappointed in myself, and kind of frustrated. Like, man, there ain't no way I'm going to be able to watch or listen or take notes like I normally would based on all the stuff I have going on right now. But in the same sense, I was like, I get to go like record and then get back to watching Senior Bowl and getting to know all these players and getting to find the Okrie gems and get my draft rankings and look at what DJ is saying about people and Charles Day. Like, that was exciting, even though I was like bummed that I didn't have any clue Senior Bowl was basically starting today when I'm recording, and by tomorrow they'd already been halfway through the week of practice basically. So that's crazy. I need to ramp up the draft prep. There's no doubt about it. Here's my challenge to all you loyal, diehard Detroit Koolaid drinkers. If you're a draft geek, draft person, like, hit me up on Twitter at Derek Okrie. That's spelled DerekOkrie, and say Okrie. Here's a couple of my draft crushes. Here's a couple guys you need to hone in on. Here's some guys I want your opinion on. Hit me up with some names, because I was scrolling through the DJ top 50 here before I hit record, and I gotta be honest, I don't know how to pronounce half these people's names. I don't know any of these players for the most part. I'm looking through, I'm like, there are a lot of offensive tackles though, so that, and some interior players. That's a good thing. I'm scrolling down here through, and I'm like, didn't either DJ or one of these other people have us taking Akeem Mesidor from the U, edge player, senior, so it means a little bit older, stuff like that. I was like, I think they had us taking that type of player. I mean, shout out Benny Blades.
What, right?
You guys know Benny. He likes to go to pay window.
Going to the pay one.
If I could find it, since I just talked about somebody from the U, I'd like to hit the U drop. Ah, yes, here we go. Shout out to the man himself, my former co-host, Benny Blades, where I used to play this as much as possible, because he's all about that U.
It's all about the you. It's all about the you.
The only bad part for my guy Benny Blades is that his team came up short against Indiana in the national champ. Like, the Indiana Hoosiers are the national champions of college football. They went undefeated. Are you kidding me? that was depressing. Don't give me this, it's a great underdog story. I'm so happy for that university. Like, I was hoping the Canes would get him. But hey, they don't have Benny back there. They came up short, couldn't get it done. I mean, I'm sure he's still hurting about that one. But so someone had us taking Akeem Mesidor, edge rusher, like I said, from Miami. How about good old Carson Anderson? They do their little draft gimmick where they, they do this. They hit the music, they make the pick. And like, I swear, years and years of listening to these guys, like, I know I make fun of them sometimes, or I have takes on their goofiness or what things they say and do. I mean, overall, like, not only decent dudes, but obviously they've been on Detroit radio forever, so you gotta listen to somebody, right? So, of course, I love when they do the draft segments, but, like, after years and years of listening to these two guys, man, I swear, like, I know the fan base gets caught up in some of the same names or whatever, but these guys every year, it's just, like, the most obvious position of need, the most obvious player names that they can pick. You know what I mean? Like, Doug Karsh recently has got a couple, like, picks right where he loved Jack Campbell, loved Brian Branch. Mama! Brian Branch, you know what I mean? But overall, like, not only they pick the obvious names, like, I'm going to give you the two names they said here in a moment, but, like, just wait for a couple weeks where they'll start just naming off linebackers. Every year, it's whoever the best middle linebacker is. This middle line, oh, I really like how this linebacker plays. Man, this linebacker's tough. We might want to take him. Like, every freaking year. If you had a team of their draft picks, 8 out of every 10 would just be a big tackling, normal linebacker. That's all they like there on the old afternoons on 97.1. But they picked this guy, Caleb Lomu. He's an offensive tackle from Utah, sophomore. He's 29th overall on DJ's board. They took him at 17. Kang, or the producer, whatever, he took Caden Proctor, 6'7", 300. Wait for it. Keep waiting. £366. Now, I've seen this guy play a little bit, and he's one of those big dudes with sweet feet. He can move his feet, which is good, but that's a lot of weight. As a left tackle, you got to be able to deal with these nasty, bendy edge rushers, but dude's got some interesting things to him. So, of course, they all went with the left, got to get a left tackle, play him on the right side, move penny. That's their whole game right now, which I'm not saying is wrong. It's just so dang obvious that it annoys me. But just scrolling through this list, I mean, I'm going to really have to do my homework, but a couple names that jumped out to me. It's just like, you got Caleb Downs there as like the 10th overall player. To me, he seems like the blue chip of the blue chip if you're just talking, regardless of position type of thing. Obviously, the top couple rushers that I'd love to have would be like Bain and Bailey and Reese. They're not going to be available. So as you kind of go down through DJ's list, here's a name to chew on, even though, like, I know this guy from my college fantasy league. I had him on my team. He was hurt a little bit, and you guys are going to hate this, but, like, I was just scrolling through. I was like, I could see Brad Holmes loving Kenyon Sadiq, tight end athlete out of Oregon, junior, big body, catch the football, move him as a chess piece. So that name kind of jumped out. And then as I was scrolling down, let's see if there's another name that kind of jumped out to me. I mean, gosh, I'm really going to have to go through. We're not going to take another receiver, but Antonio Williams had like an up and down type career, but he seems like a really professional type receiver, maybe at the next level. And then you have guys like, they're not going to take another DT. You start going through these, I don't know. There's not many people that I love or that I'm intrigued by, but I'm sure that'll change as we get closer to the draft process. So, like, there's not even like an Okrie sleeper I can give you as I'm scrolling down through the top 50, other than that you guys would hate it if he took a tight end. But if you take a tight end in the middle rounds, not knowing what Sammy Biscuits' back's going to be like, I could see Sadiq being like a guy that just, like, is a mismatch nightmare, just like a really nice football player for any offense in the NFL. So I'll just throw it out there for now. But I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to get you guys some names, no doubt about it. If you love the draft, if you love kind of this whole draft free agency process, like, definitely tune into the Senior Bowl. It's always a good one. You learn a lot about these players' backstories. You get to see them. Sometimes with the pads on, it's still hard to tell, but when we get to the combine, you'll get to see them and be like, man, I like the dude's build. I like his personality. I like his story. He's a tough guy. He put up good numbers. Like, that's sort of how you get to some of the, first round. You only need to have about 5 or 10 names that you love, and one of those guys will be there, and that's probably who you will take. As we get deeper in the draft, that's when you got to do your homework, get a draft guide or whatever, read up on some of these players, prioritize position. But I swear, if you want to be Brad Holmes, you want to make a Brad Holmes pick, you need to look at all these top 50 and figure out who are the top 10 blue chip athletes, regardless of position, and stack them that way, because he's going to take the best one that's available when the Lions pick. I'm here to tell you. So, everybody, I've given you some coach talk. I've talked about ARSB. I've did a couple Okrie rants, Some of you probably enjoyed those, some maybe not so much. I'm hyped up for the Senior Bowl. I love the draft. I can't wait till free agency this year for the Lions. I think there's going to be roster movement. I think this team is going to go guns blazing to make it up to the fan base for this clunker of a season that they had this year. Got a weak schedule. We got some contracts we can restructure. We got a hell of a good football team, barring health, and be ready to roll in 2026 and hopefully being in that 2027 Super Bowl in Patty Statty's backyard, SoFi Stadium. Me and Chop will probably be there if it happens. Everybody, that's what I got. And I'll catch you next time right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. I'm out. Let's go Pistons, Red Wings, Michigan Hoops. Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
Drink it in, man.
Cornbread!
Pack the bag. Start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.